Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a 2010 update to a bestseller launched in 2006. This is the Patek Philippe 5960P-015. 40.5 millimeters in platinum, the watch gained a blue sunburst metallic dial at Basel 2010. It measures 13.9 millimeters thick and from lug tip to lug tip 49.3 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs and that distinctive brilliant cut top Vesselton diamond between the lugs that lets you know this is a modern platinum Patek Philippe. The watch wears substantially but comfortably on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, I think because of the sharp curvature of the lugs. You probably try this watch out on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, and I think it would work. It actually doesn't wear as thick as it is. It's almost 14 millimeters, but you can see that the case flank is nicely sloped, and the dress sleeve that you wear will ramp up over its side. So yes, it is a formal watch. It'll work with a tight sleeve. And you can see over the top, as well as down the barrel, a good fit. Taking a quick look at the hardware and the software, you can see that we have a navy blue semi-gloss medium rectangular scale alligator leather strap. There is a sheer cut side showing the layers of leather. We have a monotone blue stitch, pull tab spring bars used on modern Patek straps. You can remove the strap without tools, and then a Calatrava cross. Atop a matching platinum folding clasp, so protection against accidentally dropping your watch while donning or removing it bedside. 3 correctors for the aperture style annual calendar display. On the opposite side, we have a Calatrava cross on the push-down crown, 30 meters of water resistance. We have vintage style, pump style pushers, and these lovely fluid arcing tapered lugs. You can also see that the bezel is somewhat inset from the case band and then concave in profile to create the impression of a much thinner and more elegant watch. And who's to say it's an illusion? The watch does look thin and elegant. Taking a quick look at the dial, you can see that the sunburst metallic dominates proceedings, and it reflects light in a luminous, warm glow. It is blue, of course. That was new for 2010. We have white gold hands in leaf style. We also have white gold faceted baton-style hour indices, a little white gold frame for the date. We have the day, the date, and the month, and then a power reserve indicator. The watch has a power reserve of up to 55 hours. You can see there's a little silver and blue disc inside the mono counter at 6 o'clock. So you can see we are transitioning, and that will transition from silver during the day to blue during the night. And as I continue to advance the time, you can see we are actually transitioning into the day. And as the night arrives, once more, you will see that it transitions from silver to blue. And while it's nice to have an AM/PM indicator, the real purpose of that is to let you know when not to use the pusher adjusters for the calendar. When that little disc is full blue, don't attempt to use the pusher adjusters to change the calendar. Of course, the annual calendar was designed by Patek in 1996. It was patented and launched on the 5035, and Patek launched the first annual calendar. This aperture-style display recalls its original 1940s perpetual calendar wristwatches, so we have a modern complication of Patek's own design with a nod to Patek's heritage. We have a mono counter, which I mentioned, sometimes known as the bullseye on this model. You can see inboard there's a little white varnished hand that indicates chronograph hours, and then there's a red varnished hand that indicates chronograph minutes, and that keeps the dial symmetrical and uncluttered. You do have a flyback chronograph. You simply press the flyback trigger and the seconds hand resets. Now the watch doesn't actually have a running seconds display, so a lot of folks who want a more animated dial will leave the chronograph running and just treat that as the seconds to correspond to their central minutes and hours. Now while the watch doesn't have hacking seconds, what you can do is set the time precisely and then use the flyback as a 0 reset if you're going to be using the hand to essentially judge your running seconds. There's a lovely polished chapter ring for the mono counter, and then you can see there's a sort of azurage pattern on the silver track for the minutes. Turn it all over, by the way, I should mention, before we do, the watch is illumined. It's a fairly sporty dress watch. We have caliber 28-520. So, automatic winding, it's a unidirectional winder. that uses ceramic rotor bearings. Those two features really compound the winding efficiency of the movement. It's free-sprung with Patek's historic Gyromax-style free-sprung balance. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's just in the high horology standard 5 positions, just like a chronometer would be. It pivots on 40 joules, and this one being pre-silicon actually uses a ferrous hand-bent Breguet overcoil hairspring, so that allows the watch to keep excellent time in any physical position. These are exceptionally rare with the blue dial and the overcoil hairspring, because within 24 months of the launch of this blue dial model, Patek started converting all of its 28520s over to silicon hairsprings. So this is a rare combination of dial and hairspring. And also the overcoil being made by hand is more artisanal than the later DRIE computer-formed silicon component. Now the watch features a column wheel with a vertical clutch. So with the vertical clutch, you can leave the chronograph running with no hazard to the movement. The chronograph always starts without a stagger or a jump, and the column wheel feels and sounds delightful. The movement is also finished as you would expect a Patek Philippe to be, which is to say some of the elements are started by mechanical means, such as the cutting of the bridges or the beveling of the bridges, but then the finishing of the bevels is done by hand, and you'll get a nice mirrored shine on every bevel, black polished screw heads with chamfered slots, Côte de Genève, you can see circular across the bridges as well as across the rotor, engine turning or perlage on the base plate as well as on the center of the rotor, you can see that. There's satination on the wheels. And once again, those screws are beautifully detailed. They're chamfered on their slots and their circumference, plus they're black polished on their tops. And you can see that all the steel components of the chronograph are satinated across their top and then beveled on their edge. And that's difficult to do on steel, so this is a nicely made watch. And, like I mentioned, a bestseller and a favorite of modern Patek collectors. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.